Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this, a film so daring that even the Danish royal palace didn't know quite what to make of it. A film that promised to show the untold story of a young prince, his wild nights, his heartbreaks, and the moment he met the woman who would one day become his queen. And then, just as quickly as it appeared, it vanished. This is the strange story of Frederik's young years, the royal movie that almost was. Let's take a step back to the early 2010s. At that time, Crown Prince Frederik, now King Frederik X of Denmark, was one of Europe's most admired royals. He had grown from a restless young man into a devoted husband and father beside Princess Mary, now Queen Mary. Then, out of nowhere, a Danish filmmaker named Christian Toftrup announced something bold, a movie about Frederik's early adult life. He called it Frederik's Young Years. And it wasn't going to be a polished royal documentary. Oh no. Toftrup said it would be fictional, but built on facts. Right away, the media knew what that meant. This film was going to show everything: Frederik's pre-marriage relationships, his so-called playboy years in the 1990s, his struggles with royal expectations, and finally, the fateful night in Sydney, Australia, when he met Mary Donaldson, the woman who changed his life forever. The Danish Film Institute even gave the project early development funding. Industry magazines talked about casting, potential filming schedules, and how the story would end just before Frederik and Mary's marriage. But that's where the excitement turned into tension. Because once the tabloids got wind of it, headlines exploded. Princess Mary is bracing herself for the release of Frederik's young years. Now, did Mary actually say that? No. There's no record of a palace statement or quote from her. But the press ran with the idea, painting this picture of a royal couple nervously awaiting a film that could reopen old wounds from their past. And honestly, who could blame them? Imagine a film dramatizing your husband's youthful romances, while you're still very much the public face of a modern monarchy. Here's the truth though, the film was never officially endorsed by the royal household. It wasn't sanctioned, it wasn't promoted, and no royal approval was ever given. It was simply a private filmmaker's creative project. Still, it caused quite a stir. Because it raised a delicate question: how far can artists go when telling the story of a living royal? Where's the line between creativity and intrusion? And then, it all went quiet. No trailers, no premiere, no festival listings, no posters. The film that once promised to show Denmark's most charismatic prince in a whole new light, simply disappeared from the public radar. Film archives show no official release. Danish film catalogs have no record of it being completed. It's as if Frederik's young years just faded away. So what really happened? Most likely, the project stalled. Maybe funding ran dry, or maybe the controversy made everyone take a step back. When you're making a film about a living king, you have to tread carefully. A single misstep could spark international headlines. And it seems the filmmakers realized that. But what's fascinating about this story is what it says about King Frederik and Queen Mary themselves. It reminds us that behind all the titles, crowns, and ceremonies, there were once two young people, Frederik and Mary, living their own very human journey. They fell in love under the Sydney stars, far from any throne or royal duty. And that's the part of their story that endured, not the speculation, not the forgotten film, but the real-life connection that still defines them today. So, the next time someone mentions Frederik's young years, remember. It wasn't just a movie that never made it to the screen. It was a reminder that even kings and queens have pasts, chapters they might rather keep private, and moments that shape who they become. And perhaps, in the quiet halls of Amalienborg Palace, Queen Mary really did brace herself once upon a time. Not out of fear, but out of love, loyalty, and the deep understanding that some stories are best left untold. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe my channel.